Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode 98 in an ongoing series of live broadcasts designed for folks with a growth mindset or for those who'd like to create one. It's an open opportunity, an invitation for folk to play with new ideas, try on new concepts, and engage new mindsets. Thank you for joining in, especially after the hiatus that I'm just back from. If you'll take just a moment and just below this video, click share and invite your community, your colleagues, your friends to join in the conversation. The more voices, the richer the conversation. So I am 26 hours ago, I just got back into the country, and I noticed that it didn't take long for the chatter to start, for the, oh my God, that internal narrative, the mental chatter that starts with an awareness of what others are thinking. And it sort of cascades into weaseling or infecting my decision making. Being off the grid for a couple weeks is amazing therapy. And I think it's gremlin therapy or saboteur therapy. It's a great opportunity to let all of that internal chatter go when you're off the grid and surrounded by primal nature. We were in Africa on safari. It's amazing how much of that goes away. There's no stimulus for it. There's no trigger for it. And it doesn't take long for it to go away. And it also didn't take long for it to come back. I decided to take a hiatus after setting up all of the episodes through the end of the year. So this was supposed to be before Christmas. And it turns out that the quote is quite fitting for today, which is a quote from Don Miguel Ruiz. Don Miguel Ruiz wrote the book, The Four Agreements. And I even keep a copy of the Four Agreements on my desk and a printout of what those four are. And I'll play with those in just a minute. But here's the quote. When you're immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. When you're immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. And that's what I was talking about a moment ago, the idea that the opinions or even the actions of others, that comes back in. The awareness of that came back into my head so quickly yesterday afternoon. And in thinking about what my day and my week were going to be like and what January is going to be like, and starting to look at the beginning of the year. And I noticed how quickly that awareness wanted to weasel its way back into my decision making, right? And damn, it's like it's like a virus, and it's like a disease, a dis-ease, and it's uncomfortable. And I started to wonder, as I wrote this email last night, what would life be like without that dis-ease? What would be possible with an immunity to the opinions and actions of others? And I go back to, I said, I keep a copy of the Four Agreements. I also keep a printout of the actual Four Agreements. And it's the simplest vaccine for the opinions and actions of others. The idea of being impeccable with your word, to stop making assumptions, to stop taking things personally, and to always do your best. Those are the Four Agreements. To be impeccable with your word. To stop taking things personally, or don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions and always do your best. If you haven't read the Four Agreements, put that on your January reading list. It's short, it's powerful. And if you're a book on tape person, play it at double speed. Somebody told Peter Coyote, who's the voice for the book on tape, to be significant. So play it at 1.5 to double speed so you can get through it. It's powerful. The idea of an immunity to the opinions and actions of others, to live solely through who you are and what drives you and what's important to you. And that's not to the exclusion or lack of awareness of or importance of others, it's quite the opposite. It's a way to honor others by being truly authentic and pure and clear, and not allowing what you make up, what you assume about what others are thinking, to infect your decision making, your thinking, your actions. It's great to have so many of you guys back on this broadcast. Thank you for being here. Dwayne said, you cannot allow yourself to be blown about by the whispers of others. It's a great line, Dwayne. Thank you. It's interesting. It's so easy to let that waft in. I was watching Todd Butterbaugh just did a TED talk, a TEDx talk, and talked about being a nice guy and growing up being told that he had to be the nice guy and how he could out nice other people. And the cost of that was being inauthentic. The difference between being nice, being a nice person, a temperament, and being the nice guy. Not saying what's true, not saying what's important, not saying what's right, because you don't want to offend or upset. And I'll post a link to Todd's TEDx talk. He just posted it. It's powerful. And I think this goes in line with when you're immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. When everything you think and feel and say before it comes out has to be passed through the filter of how will it land? What will other people think? What assumptions will they make? What will they believe about me? And taking all that personally, it's crushing. And it's a difficult way to walk through the world. And Charlotte shared, usually they're not thinking what we think they're thinking. There's a quote from several weeks back. Forgive me, I'll have to find the link to it. I've lost the thought. But it's you stop thinking, wonder. It's about how little people actually think about us. We get so wrapped up in what other people are thinking, and it's astounding when we realize how little they actually consider anybody outside of their own head. That's the way humans function. Thank you, buddy. It's like your opinion is none of my damn business. It's priceless. And I think that's really an important thing to consider. We all have thoughts and opinions of others, and those are ours and our own. And how can they be accurate? What we think about someone else is just a filtering through our own lenses of what we see and what we make up about it and the assumptions that we make. Rule number 3, don't make assumptions. And then we interpret that and how that interpretation impacts us. Rule number 2, don't take it personally. And the more we can filter out what we think other people will think, or what we hear that other people think, what their opinions are of us, or the actions they take and our interpretations of them, when we can leave our decision-making pure and clean and from the heart, it's a much clearer way to live. And yes, the word clear and clarity are going to be hammered throughout the next 11 3/4 months. This is 2020. And the idea of 2020 vision and 2020 clarity. And yes, I'm still going to mention anyway, no matter how much you've heard and will hear those words bandied about and hammered. Yeah, it's an opportunity to clear the decks. The more that it comes from here, the clearer and the purer it is. So in our offer for this week, it's a brilliant opportunity to clear the decks. And to find your immunity to the opinions and actions of others. And stop being the victim of needless suffering. It's an opportunity for clarity. It's an opportunity for ease, not dis-ease. So the question to ask yourself is, what's your cure for this dis-ease? Where is your immunity to the opinions and actions of others? And so between now and next week, I encourage you to visit facebook.com/groups/Mindset Mondays. Join the conversation, share your thoughts. It's a nice private closed group for just that opportunity, is to have these exchanges and conversations. So between now and next week, what mindset will you choose?